After 19 silent years, the desert had begun to reclaim RD-10. Its familiar rhino-shaped front remained, but corrosion covered nearly every surface. But the machine was surrounded by a delicate natural surface that could not be crossed.
Mara and a soil specialist planned an access route using images instead of ground markings. Freestanding markers separated the safe working area from the protected ground. A removable lightweight path allowed the survey to continue without placing heavy equipment on the desert. A careful visual check showed that the buried blade had shifted, but no repair began yet. Recovery by heavy transport was impossible, so RD-10 would be restored exactly where it stood. The team divided the trapped sand into separate zones so every layer could later be returned to its original area. Simple visual markers recorded where each natural sand layer belonged before careful removal began. Loose sand was removed in thin sections instead of opening a large trench around the machine. A wooden tool exposed the blade lip gradually while preserving its fragile, weathered edge. Exactly 20 chocks secured all 10 wheels before the team approached the machine's lower structure. Only narrow inspection spaces were open beside the wheels, leaving the supporting sand beneath them undisturbed. The exposed left linkage showed uneven compression where years of drifting sand had pressed against the blade. Mechanical references confirmed that the left blade edge rested 9 centimeters below the right. With the sand preserved and every wheel secured, the team could now investigate why the leveling system had stopped working. The next investigation focused on the mechanical housing that controlled the blade's working depth. Only the cover seam was cleaned, keeping loose mineral dust from spreading across the work area. Behind the cover, the team found a hardened gray layer blocking the lower control channels. A small sample revealed mineral residue bound tightly to the machine's aged lubricant. The comparison showed that fine gypsum dust had combined with old lubricant and formed a dense deposit. A contained, low-moisture gel softened the deposit without washing residue deeper into the mechanism. Once softened, the residue could be lifted away, revealing 2 blocked lubrication channels. The same deposit had immobilized all 3 depth rods, but the original gear teeth remained complete. The diagnosis was now clear. 2 blocked lubrication channels and 3 seized depth rods had stopped the Roadmaker, while its main gears remained repairable. The team first reconstructed the blade's original curve from its surviving mechanical reference points. A freestanding frame created a stable reference without attaching equipment to the vehicle or the desert floor. The physical references confirmed that the left edge remained 9 centimeters below the right. A padded manual support held the blade at its existing position before the worn pivot was examined. The blade itself was not bent. One compressed bearing layer had allowed the left pivot to settle. The surviving pieces provided a physical pattern for a matching replacement bearing layer. New shaped segments restored the pivot support while preserving the original housing and blade. Small manual corrections returned the left edge gradually, with every step checked before the next. The restored bearing returned both blade edges to the same mechanical reference without replacing the original blade. The blade's geometry was restored, but RD-10 remained unpowered until its 3 depth rods could move together again. The next task was to restore the 3 depth rods that controlled how deeply the blade entered the sand. Physical collars recorded the position and orientation of every rod before removal. The rods were transferred one at a time into separate cradles, protecting their original sequence. The first rod remained straight, but uneven friction marks restricted the second and third. Only the guide contact surfaces were treated, leaving the rod's original age marks intact. 2 worn guide sleeves were realigned with a manual fixture and checked against the original profile. A freestanding bench tested all 3 rods against level, shallow, and raised sand references. For the first time in 19 years, all 3 rods returned smoothly to the same mechanical reference. The synchronized rods returned to RD-10, completing the blade's mechanical depth control system before any powered test. Mechanical load plates revealed that the right front wheel carried 14% more weight than the left. The imbalance led to one distribution valve restricted by thickened lubricant rather than damage to the mainframe. The isolated valve was removed with both branches sealed, keeping the inactive system contained. Careful bench service reopened the metering passages while preserving the original valve components. A low-pressure hand test confirmed that the restored valve now divided flow evenly between both front wheel branches. A shaped cradle prepared the first wheel for replacement while the other 9 wheels remained grounded and secured. Each cracked tire was replaced separately with an unbranded matching desert tread, never releasing more than 1 wheel at a time. After the same controlled process was repeated, all 10 wheels were grounded again and secured by 20 chocks. With the valve restored and all 10 tires renewed, RD-10's 2 oversized front wheels finally carried equal loads again. The cabin was designed to help its driver read the sand and monitor the entire working edge of the blade. A physical template recorded the lower window's exact shape before the damaged glazing was removed. Removable film held the age panel together so every fragment could be collected within the cabin workspace. The enclosed window was transferred as one controlled unit, leaving its original mounting frame available for inspection. Dry, localized cleaning prepared the seal channel while preserving the frame's original metal and visible age. Clear laminated windows restored the original openings without changing the cabin's weathered structure. The 2 mechanical mirrors were aligned so both ends of the wide blade could be seen from the driver's position. The restored seat returned the driver's eyes to the original position for viewing the horn, blade center, and working edge. From the restored seat, Mara could finally see the blade center and both working ends without powering the machine. With its original sightlines restored, the cabin was ready for the next step, calibrating how the blade guided sand. Before starting the engine, the team planned 3 tests representing the sand conditions RD-10 would meet. The first tray reproduced the loose surface sand that the blade needed to guide without digging deeply. The other trays represented firmer sand and a mixed surface where the blade would need to respond evenly. A separate hand-operated circuit allowed the blade system to be checked while RD-1 remained fully unpowered. The hand test confirmed that all 3 restored rods moved together and stopped at the same shallow setting. In loose sand, the blade guided only the upper layer and avoided forming a deep channel. The firmer sand remained even, but its center profile showed that the blade setting needed one small correction. One small center rod adjustment created a gentle raised profile that could later be returned to natural sand. With 3 sand conditions verified, RD-10 was calibrated to form a shallow, reversible road without disturbing deeper layers. Every fluid level, service cover, and mechanical lock was checked before RD-10 received power. For the first time in 19 years, the restored engine settled into a steady low idle. Inside the restored cabin, Mara confirmed that all 3 depth indicators remained aligned. All 20 chocks were stored together, and the 5 specialists moved behind the test boundary. Mara began the 12-meter pass at walking speed while the blade touched only the loose surface sand. The synchronized depth rods kept the blade shallow, forming a stable center rise without reaching deeper layers. The completed surface differed by less than 1 centimeter from left to right across the full test lane. After the successful test, RD-10 was switched off and secured, ready for its first carefully planned desert mission. RD-1's first mission was to create a temporary access lane while completely avoiding the protected desert surface. Freestanding markers defined the route without placing anchors or equipment inside the protected zones. All 20 chocks were stored, and the team cleared the route before Mora began the mission. RD-10 followed the approved corridor at walking speed, with its blade secured above the sand. The calibrated blade guided only loose surface sand into a shallow, stable, and removable profile. The 10-wheel system spread the vehicle's weight evenly across the shallow temporary surface. The new lane reached the monitoring station while leaving every protected soil area untouched. The temporary surface supported the lightweight service cart without losing its calibrated center profile. On the return pass, the blade spread the temporary center rise back into the surrounding loose sand. RD-10 had returned not to conquer the desert, but to create a road when needed and leave the land ready to recover.